Interview.
We're here to help you solve your software engineer interview problems.
Hi everyone, my name is Linda.
And I'm Carolina.
And welcome to our channel, It's Not Just Tech.
So we've been uploading podcast episodes so far, but the job hunt season is upon us. We decided to make a video on how you can ace your technical interview.
The best time to start looking for software roles is as early as possible, and in August, a lot of big tech companies will be opening up their postings for next year's summer internships or new grad roles.
By the way, if you're new to our channel, Linda and I recently graduated from university and now work in big tech. We post podcasts, slice of life videos, as well as any general software engineering videos. So, without further ado, let's begin!
A typical software interview consists of 3 parts: a phone interview, a technical interview, and an on-site interview. We will go over each step and cover what to expect and how you can prepare for all 3 stages. The phone screen is usually a 30-minute conversation between a candidate and a recruiter, and the recruiter will talk about their company, what they do, the work culture, and most importantly, what you can expect from the entire interview process. Expect to see a combination of behavioral type questions, technical questions, and resume-based questions. If your interviewer is from the HR team, it's likely you won't get any technical questions. On the other hand, if your interviewer is from the software team, expect to get some technical trivia or some easy to medium lead code questions. Sometimes they might ask you what you think their company does before they begin, so make sure you do some research on them beforehand. If your interview is tending more towards behavioral, then you might get the dreaded "tell me about yourself" or other forms of self-reflection. So they might ask you questions like, tell me about a time you resolved a conflict between you and your teammate, or describe a scenario where blah blah blah. Definitely take the time to do a quick search for the common behavior questions you might get and prepare 3 to 5 scenarios that you can describe in detail to answer these questions. The phone screen might be less behavioral and more of a resume screen. They might ask you about the technologies, languages, and frameworks that you worked with, the result and impact of your project, or just a summary of what you worked on. Everything, and I mean everything, on your resume is fair game for them to ask you about. So make sure you review what's on your resume and are able to describe each part in detail.
For example, one time I got asked only about my extracurricular experience and nothing about my past 4 internships at the time. The recruiter was like, I see you did a leadership position at one of these tech clubs. Can you tell me about a conflict that the leadership team here had to resolve? And I had to give a detailed situation about it. So definitely make sure everything, even some one-liner or something you put in your interest section, if you have one on your resume, make sure you're able to talk about it. Also, don't assume that just because something is written on your resume means that they've already seen it. Bring up important points again and see how you can cleverly slide in more of your accomplishments. For example, if someone asks, why do you want to work at this company? You can use that as an opportunity to elaborate on some of your experience that reflects the company's culture.
So why do you want to work at this company?
Well, I would love to work here because I love how collaborative the culture is. Back in my old company, I led an initiative in my team to do pair programming every week, and we saw deadlines being met 25% more of the time. So I definitely think that being collaborative is an important aspect of a company's culture.
How interesting. Examples help you drive your point home as they are evidence of your experience. Anyone can gush about how amazing a company is, but your experience is what makes you unique. Just think of it as you're trying to convince a stranger to entrust you with a paying job.
Usually what follows a phone screen is the technical interview. Congrats on making it to this stage. At this stage, you can expect some technical questions, and this can be done through whiteboarding, which means you get a whiteboard and you write code on it. Or it can be done online through a code editor. Sometimes they request you to bring a laptop and then you code on the code editor there. It really depends on how the interviewer would like to see your coding skills. This stage of the interview is where you should be spending most of your time preparing for. There are a couple ways that you can do this. This book, Cracking the Coding Interview, is a very popular resource as it has a lot of good problems and solutions that you can practice with. It also explains computer science concepts in detail. This book is well structured as it takes you through every possible type of computer science question that you may get in your technical interview. You can see through this chapter list that it breaks down the concepts for you, so it's very easy to follow and stay organized. It starts off with chapter 1, arrays and strings, all the way up to chapter 15, where you get to learn about threads and locks. And at the back of the book, it has extra resources that you can look at and harder concepts if you want to learn.
You know, funny thing is, I once did a technical interview where there was 0 coding questions, but instead I had to identify the output of these snippets of code that they gave me. Then they hit me with these brain teasers that are actually found on the back of Cracking the Coding Interview. So this book definitely covers a lot of bases.
The book also talks about what you can expect in your interviews at companies such as Facebook, Microsoft, Google, and etc. In our experience, we found this to be a very useful resource for those who are new to software engineer interviews or who want a good refresher on CS concepts. But if you already have good CS fundamentals, then we recommend you check out LeetCode. We both use that resource in order to grind out LeetCode questions to prepare for our interviews, and we found it to be very helpful. Both of us also use LeetCode Premium, and we absolutely loved it. It definitely helped us study for our interviews, especially when you're low on time. One of the main benefits of LeetCode Premium is that it lets you filter by what questions come from which companies. So for example, if you're trying to target a specific company like Amazon, then you can filter by Amazon, and then the top 100 or even more questions that people have gotten from Amazon will pop up, and it's all organized by frequency. You can also save money by sharing an account with friends. Remember, practice makes perfect, and the more practice you do, the better you get at solving these technical questions.
The on-site interview is the last step in your interviewing journey. Amazing job on making it this far. You've already beat out thousands of candidates, even though it may not feel like that. Pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, you'd be flown out to the company's headquarters to meet the team, to interview, and to have lunch. You'd also have the chance to chat with other candidates as well. During the pandemic, it'll be likely that the whole interview process will be virtual. At least that was the case for my new grad on-site. This step is the longest, and it will take a couple of hours, and you will be expected to do multiple rounds of technical interviews in one day. So if you can, make sure to take that day off so you can focus better. As mentioned in the previous stage by Carolina, practice makes perfect. You will perform better the more practice you do. It's also important to note here that the solution to technical problems isn't really the main focus, but more so your thought process. If you have difficulty arriving at a solution, it is better that you talk to your interviewer about it, bounce around some ideas, than offering nothing at all. A good way that has helped me structure my live interviews is the STAR method. So situation, task, action, and result. Basically, understand the problem and the scope. You can do this by talking to your interviewer to clarify some of your questions. Then dictate to your interviewer the solution you have in mind. Next, implement the solution by coding, and then ask your interviewer for feedback. Often during the feedback phase, they'll ask you to optimize your solution or quiz you about the complexities. So make sure you study up big O notation. That's very, very important. The lunchtime or coffee chats with a potential future coworker are kind of like stealth interviews.
This is like a behavioral interview in disguise.
An interview goes both ways. Make sure to ask them questions about the company, their work, and trying to find a topic you guys can bond on. This is where some pre-social media stalking can be useful. For example, you might look at their LinkedIn page and you saw that they listed cycling as one of their hobbies. Well, perfect for you. You happen to like cycling as well. So you can definitely find ways to casually slide that into a conversation to bring it up. These people will be working with you full time, so it's really important that they like working with you as well. This is the last step in the software interview process, but it is also also the most intimidating, exciting, and tiring one. If you already made it this far, that means you've already done amazing and you are exactly where you should be. So believe in yourself and go in there with confidence.
Of course, every company has different interviewing practices and your experiences may vary. We wanted to give you the most generic format of interviews most corporate tech companies fall under and share with you guys the resources that helped us a lot. So make sure to do additional research on what your company may be specifically looking for and tailor your studying around it. We will link some resources down below in the description with what we talked about in the video. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at It's Not Just Tech. Comment down below if there are any videos you'd like to see from us in the future regarding software engineer interviews or anything in general. And we will see you next time on It's Not Just Tech. Bye!